Free at last! Free at last! Tasty wine is free at last. Governor Wolf, you have totally redeemed yourself. Totally. Prohibition ended in 1933. Pennsylvania's just getting around to it. Wine is now available in grocery stores. Coming up, it's passed, it's signed into law. Wine is available in grocery stores. There will be 24/7 service at casinos and better hours at the state stores. Open holidays, better hours on Sundays, more convenient all around. This was a bipartisan effort. Democrats and Republicans, the governor, they all came together to make this happen. Woo! I think that deserves a cowbell. The Democrats say it will secure the union state store jobs, the decently well-paying state store jobs. Republicans say it's a fast track to privatization. I say, who gives a frick? Who gives a frick? We now have access. Drunks can rejoice everywhere. I've got a bottle of wine right here. I could buy this very bottle of wine if I wanted to, not right now, but in a few months, right at the Giant Eagle. The Giant Eagle. I cannot wait. It's going to be at basically any of the gas stations or restaurants, gas stations or grocery stores right now that serve beer. Soon you will be able to get wine as well. I am Pittsburgh's moral compass, steering you on the right course. The most interesting man in the burg, Brian Crawford, in Millvale Studios. We've got all sorts of new lights. I feel like I'm on display here at the Millvale Studio. And it's going to be a fun time. I am so thrilled. I cannot wait. I am so excited to be able to finally live in the 21st century and be able to have access to wine. That's all I want. I don't care who sells it. I don't care if it's the state. I don't care if it's Giant Eagle. I don't care if it's Sheetz. I just want to be able to get a bottle of wine at a normal hour. I don't think it's that crazy to want. I don't think it's that crazy of a thing to crave, to be able to get a bottle of alcohol at a normal hour. I work a crazy shift. As you know, I work overnight. A lot of times I'm asleep before the state store opens. When I wake up, the state store's already closed. I need convenience. This is working in that direction. Governor Wolf has completely changed my outlook on this week. I was kind of miserable this week. I had to work during the Penguins game, and of course they won the Stanley Cup, the one day out of the week where I have to go into work an hour early, so I couldn't see any of the third period. I'm there at work trying to watch the game on my cell phone, which is completely against regulation, but I didn't care. It was the Stanley Cup. It was Game 6. But of course, somebody next to me just would not shut the frig up. Yak, 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 yak. The entire time. You'd have think she'd have guzzled down an entire bottle of wine available at her grocery store coming up. But no, she just kept talking, going on and on. Which, I mean, she's a cool person, but it's Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Just shut the frick up. Let me watch the game. I don't know what's a bigger victory. The Stanley Cup or more access to booze? Who am I kidding? It's the booze. We've got lots of good stuff on our show today. As I said, the Penguins have won the Stanley Cup. The parade is going on immediately after this show. This show's 10 to 11. The parade, I believe, starts at 11:30. So make your way down if you can. I would suggest taking the T if you live in the South Hills, because you're probably going to have a hard time driving into the city and finding a parking spot. There's hundreds of thousands of people who are going to be at this parade. They're expecting close to Close to 400,000, I believe, at the parade. So it's going to be a good time. We have Amanda Narcisi. I believe she's on her way to the parade. She's going to call in and tell us what there is to do this weekend. No more hockey. No more hockey this weekend, so you'll have to find other things to do. Baseball is there. I think the NBA Finals is still going on. I really don't pay attention to that. But it's available as well, I think. I don't know. She'll tell us. We're going to talk about the situation in Orlando, how the impact on this area, how there's a local senator in this area making waves in Washington, D.C. over the shooting, and our reaction to the shooting. Do we have a right reaction? And I say that in a sense that our first initial reaction to a crisis in this country, is it really in the right frame of mind? We're going to get into that a little later in the show. And we have Tyler Wittmeyer. He is across the table from me here producing the show. Tyler, how are you today?
Pretty good, Brian. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Are you excited about the freedom of booze in Pennsylvania?
I saw this, and I'm quite excited. I mean, in Florida, you can get it anywhere.
It's amazing to me that Tom Corbett, that was a big part of his agenda, was the privatization of liquor stores. And this isn't going in that direction, but it is giving more access to the two people who are able to now get alcohol in other places. And I find it interesting because the governor here, Governor Wolf, who has been very inflexible on many issues, particularly the budget. He has not been
stickler.
Yeah, has not budged at all on the budget. Even when the budget finally did go through, it actually went through without his signature. So he still never voted on. He never approved the budget. He just allowed it to pass without his signature. But he was able to get everyone to work together on. Actually, I take that back. He didn't get everyone to work together on this. The Republicans and the Democrats in the House worked together and sent it to him, but he was working collaboratively with them. And I find it interesting because liquor reform was really one of the hallmarks of the Corbett administration, even though I have heard that though he spoke about it, he didn't often push it as hard as maybe he could have through the legislative process. But Tom Wolf gets it out right out of the bat. I mean, he
came out
is in
swinging.
He hasn't been a governor for that long,
No.
but he's been able to get this serious reform going. Now, I have heard that the governor, former Governor Wolf, actually held back some of these reforms in an effort to push privatization. Now this is coming from the Liquor Control Board, that they had recommended some changes to make things more accessible, and the former governor actually stood in the way. So I wonder if there's any validity to that. Looking at what we have now with the new passing of this new reform bill, I almost wonder if there is some validity to that.
There might be.
I wonder, there's an old commercial, I played it on my show once before, about the state store, the union that represents the state store workers, and they basically, and I find this interesting, they basically said that having liquor in the grocery stores will, kill our children and everything else. So I find it interesting that the Democrats are actually on board with this, despite what the union is saying. And it can't be good for the union. They're trying to say that this is going to secure jobs, and I guess it secures it versus privatization. It's certainly going to be more secure for state store employees than full-out privatization. But now people have other options, and when they have other options, they're going to explore those options. They're going to go for convenience, and that will only hurt the state store. I think the state store will do okay with hard liquors and things like that. And honestly, I like going to the state store. People knock the state store. I don't have a lot of problems with them. I look at the state store, and the people there have always been very helpful to me. I've never had any issues. They seem knowledgeable. I don't have any issues with them. Everyone always complains about the state store, but I've never had any issues. There are going to be 10,000 holders of restaurant licenses under the new regulations, and there are going to be 300 grocery and convenience stores that will be allowed to sell beer, and 1,200 holders of hotel licenses. And that is according to Elizabeth Brassel, an LCB spokeswoman. The
Free at
LCB has said that free at last, thank
Free
God.
at last.
The LCB has said that they are going to push to expedite this procedure, and they're saying about a couple months we may start seeing some changes. So it's not going to be an immediate change, but as anything, it does take time. And honestly, from what I'm reading, it's going to actually take less time than it took to implement the changeover of the speed limits, the increasing of the speed limits on our turnpikes. So that's a blessing for sure. I'm excited. I cannot wait. You have no idea. I am so excited. It's going to be wonderful. We got Amanda Narcisi up next. I know she likes to drink. She's always talking about the different breweries she's going to and the different alcoholic beverages she is consuming. So we'll ask her if she's heard of this groundbreaking legislation and what she thinks about that. And also what there is to do tonight. So that's going to be up next here at riversedgepgh.com, Pittsburgh's voice for local music.
Hey, this is Matt Geica, the host of your alternative sports talk program on the River's Edge. It's called Geike's Got Game, and it's every Friday at 7 a.m. I'll give you a peek behind the sports media curtain, zoom out for the big picture, and always obsess over the details of the games, teams, and players we love or love to hate. That's Geike's Got Game every Friday at 7 on the River's Edge.
I wonder what I'm going to buy first when I first walk into the grocery store and I can just walk down the aisle and buy my Merlot with my milk and eggs. I'm just giddy with excitement. It's going to be wonderful. Amanda Narcisi is a wonderful person. She always has wonderful insight. Amanda, are you as wonderfully excited about the prospect of buying your alcohol at a grocery store as I am?
Yes, actually I am. I came from, I just lived in Massachusetts for the longest time, where that actually was possible, in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. And I loved it. I loved the fact that I could go to Trader Joe's and get $3 Chuck, which is their wine that they make, $3 wine, and along with my eggs and groceries and everything else. It was very accessible.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
It was great.
And I was reading, I believe it was the Post-Gazette I was reading, and they had said that it will also, this new bill that just passed, will also include 24-hour service at casinos. So that's going to be wonderful.
Wow.
Yeah, we're finally
That is.
moving into the 21st century. Prohibition ended in the 1930s. Pennsylvania, we're just catching up now. So, Amanda, what do we have going on this weekend?
Well, obviously today is the parade.
Yes, the Penguin Parade, yes.
Which is the biggest thing. I mean, I'm listening to the radio this morning. People cannot even get into the city. I was literally at South Hills Village this morning, an hour ago, and the parking lot is already full by the T.
Wow.
So you can't. It's craziness already. But tonight there is a rooftop shindig, which is free. At the Cedar Square Garage downtown. They'll be showing the movie Hairspray.
Okay.
And Beauty Slap will be performing. And there is food and drinks for purchase, but that's kind of like the free event that's on the top of the Cedar Square Garage. You get to watch a movie and hang out.
Very cool.
There's a bunch of stuff going on for Father's Day this weekend, including Wiggle Whiskey is holding Wiggle Wags and Whiskey on the 17th. Which is benefit Animal Rescue League, and you can come and get dog treats, and it's basically dogs and dads kind of little party. And the big urban garden party is this weekend at the Mattress Factory, also on the 17th, which that is a big ticket item. That's their big gala that they hold every year to benefit them. It's a fundraiser. And the Millvale Food Truck Roundup.
Yes, that's true. That is coming up between Grist House and Dry Log.
On the 18th. So, Pittsburgh Smoke.
Go ahead.
Pittsburgh Smokehouse, Lena's Food Truck, Braceros, Cool Beans, Sanctuary, and Steel and Wheel in between the two.
Yeah, that'll be cool. I have a bone to pick with Grist House, by the way. I love their beer, love their atmosphere. I love everything about it. But the last time I was there, I felt like I was at a daycare. There were more kids running around outside than there were adults.
We have this conversation often a lot about how the parents in restaurants need to rope the children in, especially when they venture to breweries and things like that. They trip waitresses and accidents can happen. I have that conversation often.
Well, why would you
in the service industry myself and watching it?
Well, I want to get your thoughts because you have been to so many breweries and the expert analysis. You can catch them on Bold Nights Out every Wednesday or read the blog at Bold Pittsburgh. And I want to get your thoughts because to me, I can't understand why, as a parent, you would bring your kid to a brewery in the first place. I mean, it's a brewery. They brew beer. It just seems kind of like an adult space to me. That's why they have the park and the zoo and the science center and Eaton Park. That's for kids. The brewery is for big kids, right? Am I wrong?
No, I definitely think it's a shift in perspective. I myself have children, and I would never even fathom bringing them to a brewery, not mention the fact that A, they would be bored, and B, they would be, that's more of my enjoyment space, not for them.
Exactly.
And I understand that they do have activities for kids, sometimes, I know Hitchhiker had coloring books for the longest time, and games and stuff like that, and Spoonwood has gigantic Jenga boards and things for the kids that they can play with. But I don't think it's the space. As a parent myself, I would never. My kids would be too bored.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just think it's hey, you have to teach them the restaurant manners. And I mean, it's the same for any restaurant. If you're leaving your kid to run all willy-nilly up and down the restaurant, it's a huge health hazard. Also, they could trip a waiter or waitress and spill hot coffee. There's 1,000 things that can happen there.
Yeah.
And then you're just increasing it if you're drinking on top of that.
Oh, sure. I completely agree. And I just know growing up, and I think maybe this is an extreme in the opposite. Not that it's a bad thing. But, my parents didn't even have a beer in the fridge, let alone taking us to a brewery so they can drink and we're running around playing tag. I don't know. I round up the kids. That's all I'm saying. I love Grist House. I love everything that they do. I'm just saying round up the kids. So.
Yeah, I think definitely if their breweries are going to be kid-friendly, they need to have some type of activities, either gigantic Connect 4 games, maybe a board game wall, maybe something for the kids to enjoy, because if the parents aren't going to take responsibility for it, at least kind of make a kid-friendly space for it.
Yeah, I agree. Catch Amanda every Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. here at riversedgepgh.com. You can read her at boldpittsburgh.com. You're on Twitter at boldpgh. And if you missed the show this morning, it will be on demand following today's program here 10 to 11 right at riversedgepgh.com. Thanks so much, Amanda. Our studio's fallen under attack. Again, our information, I don't know if you know this happened right before we went on air today. I just didn't kind of reveal it till now. I kind of wanted to open up with the liquor thing. But our information has been stolen. It's been compromised at the River's Edge this week. Every aspect of the network has been hacked. Our information has been stolen. Our music has been pirated. We had some interesting contract negotiations going forward with some prospective sponsors. That information has been compromised, and I believe the people who compromised it are using it to thwart our efforts to grow. And we have come to a conclusion. We know who it is. We have done some research. We've looked into the breach. And it turns out that it is, of course, my sworn enemy, the bicyclists of Pittsburgh, hacking the River's Edge network. Big Bike, the Big Bike lobby, Big Bicycle. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know who they're giving the info to. I don't know if it's Clear Channel. I don't know if they're giving it to Epicast up in Allentown, trying to sell our sponsors off, trying to cut us at the knee, trying to ruin everything that we have built here in Millvale, the cyclists of Pittsburgh. Maybe, I think I'm going to go to Sorg and see if Sorg can do anything about this. He's the tech guy, right? He does Awesome Cast every Thursday mornings here. He knows about tech shit. Maybe he can get back at the cyclists. I don't know. If anyone could do it, I bet you it's Chilla. Chilla on the Awesome Cast show. I mean, Chilla has his own studio. For those of you who haven't seen the show, he has his own studio. It's the Chilla studio, and he's actually able to video in to the Awesome Cast show from a remote location. So I feel like Chilla's... It sounds nerdy, what Chilla does, but it's actually really pretty badass. So I wonder if Chilla, he might be able to hack into the event. I'd get Dutters to do it. I'd get her to summon some zombies to take those bipedal bastards by storm. But she's still sore over my total win at the Pittsburgh podcast panel. So I think I might be out of luck there. I know how the Democrats feel now. I don't know if you guys have heard. They actually were hacked by Russia, and Russia came in and stole all of their opposition research against Trump. A complete and total hacking of the Democratic National Committee by Putin, who's a Trump fan. So I'm not surprised. So I wouldn't put it past the big bike lobby to be in cahoots with the former communist Russia, working together with Putin against the liberty and freedom values that we stand for here at the River's Edge. The cyclists, they're very, you know how they are. They think they're above the law. They think they could do whatever they want, and they think that we're going to roll over and die. Well, I've got another thing coming. We're going to come back. We're going to come back stronger, and we will not allow this breach to put us down. That's all. What do we have up next? Oh, that's right. In 30 seconds, we have your weird news here on the River's Edge Radio Network.
Hi, I'm Mike Storer, host of the Awesome Cast, which you can hear right here on River's Edge Radio. We're talking tech, getting geeky every week with people from Pittsburgh in the industry. Go check us out, awesomecast.net, or listen to us right here on River's Edge Radio, Thursday mornings, 8 a.m. after Funny Money.
So what would you do for a Kit Kat bar? Huh? What about a loan? What if you're really, really, really desperate? What kind of collateral would you deem worthy? One Chinese loan shark company, they ain't playing around. If you're young, if you're hot, if you got boobs, they're in your market. They're in a market for you. And if you're in college, just send Jabba some nudes, and he will cut you a deal. That's right. A loan shark company in China is accepting nude pictures from hot females in college as collateral to issue a loan. I feel like in today's world, especially in the United States, a lot of women, they wouldn't care if those nudes were put out there. Women are like so much trashier now than I ever remember. I feel like, you know, you go on a dating site and you try to find a good girl, and it seems like white trash is what's in right now, and I really don't get that. Like, I don't find white trash to be very attractive. I like a real woman, not a woman who's running her mouth and thinking, I mean, not that you want a woman who's in some sort of a shell, but the whole trashy thing, I don't know, it does not appeal to me at all. It's kind of like a girl who's like chewing chew. Like, that's not attractive to me. I would never date someone who's chews chew. I don't know. I feel like some girls, though, this Chinese loan shark company might be a way to make a quick buck. I don't know, if you don't care about giving up your nude pictures, I guess you can keep the money because that's all they have on you. The Chinese are very creative. I'll give them that. Very creative. So that is your weird news story for today. I wonder if any girls would be drinking some wine. That could get them off. There was a girl when I at my work. She didn't work there actually, but her name came across on one of the paperworks. Her name was January, and it was spelled with an I. I imagine January with an I. That's definitely got to be a stripper's name. Has to be a stripper's name. There's no other way around it. January would definitely be sending her nudes in for a Chinese loan shark loan. Have to be. Absolutely. What do we have? The last song we played. Let me see. We can look it up here. We've been playing some good local music today. We had Cat Caught Rat by We Came From Space and 7 1/4 from the Hawkeyes. Up next we have 16 from the Red Western, and then later on we're going to play Battle Cry from Patty the Wanderer. That's up next on the River's Edge.
Hi, I'm Tom, and I know money.
And I'm Matt, and I know funny.
Catch us Thursday mornings at 7 a.m. Real financial information
For the regular guy.
right here at riversedgepgh.com.
Your voice for local music.
You can get us on the phone, 412-407-2PGH, 412-407-2PGH, or you can hit me up on Twitter at RiverTalkPGH. Tyler, you're on Twitter as well. What are you? You're...
_ you're on TV.
Oh, okay. Underscore you're
Yeah.
on TV. So
Yeah,
there you go. So you can hit him up. You can hit myself up as well
at me.
at RiverTalkPG8 or 412-407-2PGH. You can always call in, join the conversation, and I will lead you in the right direction. So it's been a sad week here in the United States. It just seems like one thing after another, and I'm a little dismayed by the response to the shooting, the tragic shooting that happened in Orlando. And it seems like everybody is so quick to just jump to their talking points. Nobody really even takes a second to... there are some, but a lot of people, they don't even take a second to consider the victims or think about the situation. And everyone's just so rigid and so firm in their political beliefs. And sometimes you could still stick to your principles, but maybe pause a minute and listen. And it kills me because instantly, this event happens and I turn on the news because I'm interested in what's going on. 50 people have vanished from the earth and many others were injured. So I turn on the radio to listen on my way into work to a talk program, and the host of the show was talking to his guests about how this shooting will influence the upcoming presidential election and how that's going to swing voters one way or another based on the information that comes out. And I'm thinking, my God, 50 people just died. 50 people died, and you're worried about blips on a poll for the president of the United States? 50 people died. I'm looking at the posts on Facebook and Twitter, and immediately I posted something about the event, about what happened, and it wasn't anything political. It just was, this happened, and this is going on, and immediately I get comments back about how, this is why we need to get rid of safe zones. This would never happen in a safe zone. If people had guns, they could stop the guy. And then you've got the other people on the other side. We need to stop the guns. Gun control. We need more gun control. And then you've got the people who are truly anti-Muslim, and then you've got the people who are breaking their arm, throwing their shoulder out, patting themselves on the back about how they are so encompassing and they're so politically correct that they would rather go after other religions to try to somehow make Islam look better because the guy happened to be Islamic. It's almost bizarre how people try to bring in things that aren't germane to the conversation at all to try and prove their point. But everyone goes to these sides immediately. And people are so quick to jump to their political persuasion, so quick to post that meme, that zinger meme, or a picture of a gun and say, oh, this isn't banned, but item X is, that they don't even take the time to reach out to the victims or anything. And then you hear people also on Facebook and Twitter chastising those who are because they're not in favor of allowing transgenders to go in different bathrooms. Somehow that means that they're not allowed to feel compassion when somebody dies. And it just is bizarre to me, the way we're going. And it comes right down to our presidential candidates. We've got a slide here. It shows the tweets side by side. Hillary Clinton posting basically that you shouldn't be allowed to get a gun if you're under federal investigation, while she's under federal investigation for basically either being extremely incompetent or extremely malicious as a Secretary of State, yet she's running for a promotion. So she's a hypocrite. You've got Donald Trump, who's gloating about drawing a connection to ISIS when 50 people just died. 50 people just died, and we're gloating on Facebook? We're pounding our chest over our goddamn political beliefs? Who gives a shit? Who really cares? 50 people just died. 50 people, and what's, to me, the most tragic thing about this whole scenario is because everybody is so rigid, everybody's so quick to jump to their battle stations to defend this point of view or defend that point of view, that they're unwilling to even communicate with one another. And now we're in a situation where nothing's going to change. 50 people have died in vain, and we're going to have another mass shooting in another month because you people are so goddamn fucking arrogant that you can't just pause for a minute and listen to one another. Find any kind of common ground. Even if you don't find any common ground, just at least be willing to pretend like you do, to maybe try to come up with some sort of answer to the situation, understand why this is happening in America. And we know the reasons, or some of the reasons in this situation. There's speculation that the killer was a homosexual himself, and maybe he was self-loathing. And maybe that has led to a series of events that caused this terrible, terrible assault. But there's a bigger problem in America beyond just this one particular instance. How many shootings are we going to allow to happen because we're too damn arrogant just to listen to one another, just to take a moment to pause? We're just so quick to run our mouths. We want to be the first one to get our opinion out there and show how intelligent we are, or how committed we are to the cause, or how oppressed we are as gun owners, or how oppressed we are as non-gun owners because we have to deal with the gun owners. It's just this vicious cycle, and just nothing gets done. Tyler, you lived in Orlando for a time. Just moved back from Orlando. So you know people down there. It must have been a frightening thing for you to see this happen in a place that you at one point called your home.
I mean, I spent most of that morning texting, calling, trying to just contact basically everybody I knew. I mean, and although I know the representatives, the mayor, and everything. I mean, they're all great people. I mean, it's a very good community down there. I'd say that everyone is very compassionate. Everyone's kind of very level-headed. I mean, it is weird to see something like that.
It's sad that we're so ingrained in these rigid political beliefs that we're so quick to arm ourselves that we've become immune to a mass killing.
Facebook just pissed me off
we've become immune to a mass killing. No one, to be honest, half of the people on social media, they don't give a damn that 50 people just died. They're more concerned about defending their point of view.
No, it's horrible. And I mean, like you said, I luckily I didn't know anyone that was killed. I do know a few people though that were affected by friends that were killed. And I mean, it is really tragic. And the fact that people, like you said, like are either going to the left talking about gun control or to the right or saying that like they're going to take our guns away, this guy was a crazy terrorist. Like we just do need to just take a break and maybe just mourn.
Think for a minute. Yeah.
Just think. No, I agree.
Well, mourn, and then not only that, come together and have an actual dialogue. No side is going to get everything that they want.
No. It's never been like that, though.
It has never been that way. No. But if you come together and have a conversation and put some real thought into the problem, then maybe you'll get somewhere. I look at Bob Casey, for example. He is the day of the shooting, or the next day. I don't have the time right in front of me, but he comes out with this new bill that he wants to push for more gun regulation. Well, it's just such a reactionary thing. And he wants to target people who have committed hate crimes, and maybe that's a good idea, but then again, what signifies a hate crime? And at that point, do you not have the right to defend yourself? I don't know. I think it's reactionary. I look at someone like Tim Murphy, on the other hand. He's been talking about the need for mental health reform for years. He truly believes it. The guy is a doctor. He's an actual doctor. He's served in the military in that capacity. He understands mental health. He's somebody who is learned on the situation. He's someone who's compassionate about it. And he didn't just throw this out there the day after a mass shooting to try to get some... I don't know if Bob Casey's trying to get some PR, if he really cares about this, but either way, it's just so reactionary. And I don't know how much thought could be put into something that you just throw out there after a mass shooting. Were you waiting? One or two things happened. It's either reactionary or he was just waiting for a mass shooting to come out with it.
Propose this.
And that is more disgusting right there. I mean, Tim Murphy has been fighting for his legislation for a long time. And he's very compassionate. He's very passionate about that. And I don't know. I just think, maybe mental health isn't the way to go. Maybe we do need more gun legislation, but can't we have a conversation? And the thing is like, people can say, like, how many more times do we have to wait for this to happen? And I agree with that. But we've never actually had a conversation. We've never actually, every single time this has ever happened, people have just been split right down the line, rigid in their beliefs, and no one has ever...
And then bills just started getting tossed.
And nothing goes through either.
No, never.
Nothing ever happens because everybody is so hard-pressed to defend their goddamn point of view that they're unwilling to even fathom compromising, or even, not even compromising, but even listening to somebody. We're not even talking about compromising or even agreeing with someone. We're even just talking about literally taking 5 minutes to listen to someone else's point of view, but we can't even... people literally shake at the thought of just listening to somebody else.
No, I agree, man.
And we're at that point.
And I mean, the presidential candidates, both of them, how they handled it was just
terrible.
I mean, I'm a Republican, and I honestly am just so upset with how Trump
Could we have come to a point? Could we have gotten a pair of worse candidates if we tried?
They're both so bad.
If we tried. And it's a shame, because when Trump first came out, I liked the idea of him, but...
No, and I watched that press conference, like, the day after, where he, like, just tore into the Muslims, like, was just, like, ban them, and, like, how many more shootings do we have to have, and... But
on the flip side, we have other people who... Oh, they're all peaceful and wonderful. Well, I mean, that's not true either. Let's be realistic.
But it is, I mean, there's a lot of stats going around the internet now, and I've been trying to find, like, the most concrete of them.
Well, people like to say, oh, well, what about this? There's extremists in every religion. It's like, okay, well, right now, and people will, like, talk about the Crusades and things like that, and it's like, yeah, that happened. That happened hundreds of years ago. This is happening now. Yeah. You can't compare that to this. You could say that Christians back then were terrible, yeah, but to try to compare something that some racist, I mean, there are a lot of racists, I mean, but I don't know.
I mean, like that kid who shot up that church, he was just like some racist white kid.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, just
But
crazy
I mean,
Catholic.
I guess it's easy to bully the Christians because they're not going to fight back. You get and people like to act like everyone's grouping all Muslims together. Now, some are, like Donald Trump, but I think most people are being very specific in their definition of extremists versus
Yeah, and I mean,
non-extremists.
the scariest portion of that all is that this guy passed the background. Like, they interviewed the guy who owns the gun range and everything.
Yeah.
And he completely followed protocol throughout it, and the guy passed because he was a security guard. And I mean, that's whereas, like, I mean, as a nation, we need to kind of maybe figure that out a little bit. But I really, I mean, he proclaimed ISIS. They talked to a lady who survived from the bathroom. But I mean, do you, you know, like, I don't know. It's a weird situation.
Yeah, it's terrible. So tragic. And I just hope that we, as a country, can actually start to have a conversation and maybe move beyond this. But I thought it would be interesting to get your thoughts because you live there.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, my Facebook, like, the vigil that happened at the Dr. Phillips Center, like, thousands of people showed up. That was beautiful. And I mean, I wish I could have been there for it.
And I actually appreciate the reaction coming from the global community more than
oh yeah,
what
like
we have
France.
here.
Like, did you see the Eiffel Tower? That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and I mean, there are a lot of people here who have done great things. And honestly, usually I hate the thing whenever people change their profiles. I think that's like corny and lame. But in this situation, there is a real chance that somebody knows somebody who's either been involved or lives in the area. So I think in this case, it does kind of show some solidarity. So something like that is great. Honestly, the people outside of this country are handling, in many cases, this situation better than we are.
I was about to say better.
Where we are just so quick to, again, push an agenda, and they're actually focusing on the fact that 50 people have just died. And maybe that's a little bit more important than your point of view. We'll wrap the show up next. You're listening to local music here, Pittsburgh's voice for local music here on the River's Edge. Just breaking now, I just saw it over Twitter. The bill just passed the Senate. It's not a law yet, but it just passed the Senate requiring women to register for the draft. So equal opportunity kind of kicks you in the ass sometimes, huh? Trump had an airport rally at the airport this past weekend, and it was the same time as the Pride event, but it was at the airport. Is anyone else kind of disappointed that the rally wasn't downtown? I just think it would have been more entertaining that way. Mike McMullen's up next week. I'm out of time, and I'm going to go have a glass of wine. So catch you not next week. I'm used to saying catch you next week. I'll catch you Friday here at riversedgepgh.com, powered by NJL WebTech.